Hello, and welcome to another thrilling episode of TimeXtender Tuesdays, your go-to source for tips, tricks, and insights into the world of data and TimeXtender. My name is Shivam, and I'm thrilled to have you join me today as we deep dive into the realm of using AWS Relational Database as your storage solution. Now, let's jump in straight to the video. Today, we have a story that unfolds in the vibrant world of Silicon Valley. Our favorite characters from the hit TV show face a data management crisis. And as tensions rise, they face a critical decision that can make or break their company, Pied Piper. Our story begins with our intern, Gian, known for his quirky nature and affinity to caffeinated beverages. One fateful morning, in a classic twist of fate, Gian accidentally spills his coffee all over the company servers, sending panic throughout the company. The panic has set in. Richard, the CEO, is like, hey, our entire data infrastructure is toast. Jared, the CEO, chimes in, we cannot afford any downtime or loss of critical data. Bert, who's in the corner, thinking and contemplating how we are going to get out of this mess. I built this from the ground up. It's my baby. How am I going to fix and put these puzzle pieces back together? How am I going to build the entire infrastructure in such a short time? Now enter the cool, calm, and collected Dinesh, and he proposes, hey, I have a great idea. This is a perfect opportunity to move to AWS. It provides us with security, reliability, and scalability, and saves us from any more caffeinated disasters. We don't need any insurance for that. Now this sets in motion few words between Bert and Dinesh, and as we know from the show, they are not the best friends to each other or agree to each other's ideas, and they are having a verbal match. Now let's jump in and see what they were talking about. Things between Dinesh and Bert has come to a head-on collision. In one corner, we have Bert, who's sticking to his guns that we should make an on-prem infrastructure from scratch again, and Dinesh, the evangelist, wants Piper to move to cloud because he thinks it's more scalable, more reliable, and obviously provides more security and is resistant to any more coffee disasters in the future. Bert, who's ever more skeptical, this is a look into their chat wherein Bert teases Dinesh, hey, are you going to throw them that cloud fairy dust? But this gives Dinesh more motivation to move to the cloud and how he can do it so quickly. So what Dinesh does is calls up his SSP to set up a meeting and say, how can I move it to cloud? And him and the SSPs, the amazing SSPs at TimeXtender, come with this AWS architecture. Herein they suggest you can put AWS RDS as your ODX storage and as an MDW storage. So you're not just contained to having AWS as your MDW storage. Now Dinesh goes back to the whiteboard and comes up with the steps that is required on how he can achieve this. Now let's get in and see the steps that Dinesh has come up with. After going back to the whiteboard, these are the steps that Dinesh has identified to achieve AWS RDS as a storage solution for a TimeXtender. So the first step is to create an AWS account if you don't have one. The second is to configure an AWS RDS SQL database along with creating your inbound and outbound rules. The next step once you have created is to connect and verify the connection using the SQL authentication in SSMS. The next step is to create or edit your storage in your portal, and after that drag and drop a few tables, create some transformations, and then verify the flow of data by executing and deploying the table in your data warehouse instance. Now let's see Dinesh in action and how he goes on to all these steps. The first step that we have identified is to log into your AWS console or create your user credentials first. So I'm going to log into my credentials here, and I'll see you at the AWS console screen. So this is how our AWS console will look like. So for us, we need to click on RDS right here. And once we've clicked through, we're going through our DB instances. That's where we're going to be creating our database. So this is our DB instance. As you can see, I've already created one of 40, which is available to me. Once I've done that, I'm going to be clicking on Create Database. So here, I'm going to just select Easy Create. You can use Standard Create as well. Easy Create will automatically create configurations for us. So here, I'm going to select Easy Create, and I'm going to select Microsoft SQL Server. And here you have your options of what kind of environment that you want. You can have your dev test, your bigger production environment, or you can always use the free tier environment. So for this video, we're going to select our free tier environment right now. Let's give our DB instance a name. So we'll give TX Tuesdays DB. Let's do that. We'll keep our master username as admin, and now we're going to enter a master username and password. So a quick pro tip right here is always remember this password that you're creating, because this is the username password that we're going to use while we are doing a SQL authentication to connect to this database. So that's an important tip to remember. So I'm going to go ahead and enter my password. So I've entered my password. Oh, it says confirm password invalid. So let me go ahead and enter my password again. Once the passwords have been set, I'm going to hit create database right now, and it's going to create our database. We can close this and we'll wait for our database to get created.
A few moments later.
It can take a little bit of time for your database to be created. So once that is done, we are going to make sure that it is publicly accessible. So for that, we're going to modify it. So click here, and we're going to go into our additional configuration and select publicly accessible. The port will remain 1433. Now let's go ahead and go continue, and we're going to select apply immediately and modify the DB instance. It has been successfully modified. Now we need to add in our inbound and outbound rules. So here for that, we're going to go to our VPC security group right here. And once we have clicked that, we're going to select our inbound rule. And we're going to add in another inbound rule. Make sure in the security group you have set an inbound rule that is type all traffic, and that's all we need to do. So once that is done, you can use the same security group for all other databases that you have created. And also make sure your outbound rules are set for all traffic. So we will have one outbound rule and 2 inbound rules. So now that completes our configuration right here. Now we're going to move into trying to see if we can connect it through SSMS. So now this is the endpoint that we are going to use. So go ahead and make sure you write it down somewhere along with where you have written the password that we are going to use. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this and save it so I can use it in my SSMS. Alright, so now we're going to add in our server name right here and the password that we had selected while we were creating our database. As now we can see here, we have created all our databases, and as you can see here, it comes with a default database as RDS admin right here. So now we have completed our step 3. The next step is to add that to our instances in the web portal. So let's get to the web portal. So I've successfully logged into our web portal, and now I'm going to go into see all instances. I have created a ODX and an MDW instance just specific for AWS. So this is where we're going to come in and make our changes. So I'm going to start with AWS ODX right here, and I'm going to edit it. So I'm going to give it my server name that I've copied. I'm going to give it ODX demo. I'm going to give my username admin and the password that I had selected while creating the database. And we're going to keep everything the same and select OK. Once that is done, we can also map a data source. So I have mapped my Europe AW as a data source right here. Now, going back to instances again, I'm going to start with our AWS MDW instance. Again, I'm going to edit it, and here again, I'm going to add in my server name, and I'm going to add TX AWS MDW and change my password and hit save. So now our work in the portal is done. Now we're going to open our desktop application. So I've opened my desktop application. So I'm going to right click, edit instance, and I'm going to create my storage. That's our first thing that we need to do since we have created a new AWS as a storage solution for our ODX. Now I'm just going to check my storage connection. It was successfully created. I am good to go. Now I'm going to add my data source right here. I've already mapped a data source right here, so I'm going to add in Europe AWS. Now let's go ahead, click next, and now it's going to load all the tables. So for this particular exercise, we'll just go with one table. As Dinesh is building this to see if he can successfully do it and show it to Richard, Jared, and show it to Bert, like, hey, no need to stay in the olden times on-prem. We can move to cloud in a few clicks. Alright, so now let's just take a simple table. Let's just take product category. We'll add it. We'll do next, and we'll add a transfer task right here. Once it's added, it will synchronize. And once it's done, let's just do a full load right here and all the tables. So synchronize is completed successfully. Now we're just going to run a full load and full load transfer task. So it's pending, starting, and it will complete successfully. Alright, the first step is to edit the instance. Here we're going to create our storage. And once the DB is successfully created, we're just going to test storage connection. Click OK. And now we're going to add in our data area. And here we can call it MDW. So once this is done, now we are going to open our ODX and we're going to do table selection. So let's select some tables. And we can close our MDW and ODX for now. So once we can select our tables from our data source that is added. Awesome. So now let's open our MDW again. Let's drag and drop it to our tables right here. And now we can see the table is here. So we can come in, do a deploy and execute to see if the data is flowing between our ODX to our MDW. So let's hit start. And here we can add in our version node, AWS deployment, and verification of data. Now let's hit save and wait for our deployment and execution to take place. Once your deployment and execution has completed, now we will go back to our SSMS to see if the data is already there. Now let's open our SSMS. We're going to refresh it right here. And first we're going to check our ODX demo. And we're going to open our demo environment right here. And we're going to check our table. We have our table right here. And we're going to check if it has pulled any rows. So yes, as you can see here, we have data right here. So we can see the data here in our ODX table. Similarly, we'll have data in our MDW table as well. Now we have completed our step 5, as we can see the data flowing in. Now let's get back to what Dinesh presents to the team at Pied Piper. There you have it, folks. Through careful planning by Dinesh and whiteboarding and identifying how they can move, he showed the Pied Piper team how quickly they can migrate or change their data warehouse from on-prem to AWS in less than 30 minutes. Now let's look at the conversation between their group chat. So this is their group chat. Everybody's sending congratulations, kudos to Dinesh. Even Birdie took a slice of humble pie. Thank you for joining me today in this amazing video. Don't forget to tune in for the next episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. See you in the next TimeXtender Tuesday videos. Bye now.